I never promised that I was going to recommend products for which there is no indication.
When you said...
And I know you've taken $855,000 from pharmaceutical companies, Senator.
Did you hold up a big sign saying that you were lying?
Come see me on tour in Appleton, Wisconsin, Rosemont, Illinois, Chicago, Illinois, Louisville, Fort Wayne, Hermosa Beach, Sacramento, San Francisco, Irvine. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. So if you want to see again how horrible and how bought the Congress is, RFK Jr. wants to do real science. He wants to find out what the cause of autism is. He wants to do research. So remember they told you don't do your own research? Well, they don't even want the doctors and scientists at the CDC, the FDA, and HHS to do their own. So researchers aren't even supposed to do their own research. And listen to what how this went down with Elizabeth Warren and RFK.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So last November, while you were under consideration to become Secretary of Health and Human Services, Mr. Kennedy, you said, quote, if vaccines are working for somebody, I'm not going to take them away. No exceptions, no ifs, ands, or buts. You would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them. Then last week, you announced that the COVID-19 vaccine is no longer approved for healthy people under the age of 65. In announcing the change, you said the vaccine will be available for anyone who wants it. Now, obviously, both things cannot be true at the same moment. So let's clear this up right now, Secretary Kennedy. Will you tell America that all adults and all children over 6 months of age are eligible to get a COVID booster at their local pharmacy today?
Who in the world is getting a COVID booster at this point? After all the studies, after all the adverse events, after you know it doesn't stop transmission, after you know it doesn't stop contraction, after you know they lied about where the virus came from, after you know they lied about how deadly it was. Bill Gates says that it wasn't deadly to anybody. It only affected the elderly, kind of like the flu. And she's there screaming so people could get their COVID booster. What kind of mental illness do you have that you still are seeking out your COVID booster? By the way, against the recommendation of the CDC.
Hypochondria, neurosis. I'm eager to hear her speech defending fluoride in the water.
Yeah, I want to hear. Yeah, she'll probably defend that. Here we go.
Anybody can get the booster.
I'm sorry?
Anybody can get it.
Anybody. So you're saying that is now the official rule of HHS. Anybody is eligible to get a booster by just walking into the pharmacy.
It's not recommended for healthy people.
No. If you don't recommend, then the consequence of that in many states is that you can't walk into a pharmacy and get one. It means insurance companies don't have to cover the $200 or so cost. As Senator Dr. Cassidy said, you are effectively denying people vaccines.
We're not going to recommend a product for which there's no clinical data for that indication. Is that what I should be doing?
What you should be doing is honoring your promise that you made when you were looking to get confirmed in this job.
So she wants him to recommend a medical treatment that there is no science for. Did you know the two top heads of the vaccine department at the FDA? This was when Joe Biden was president. They were there for 35 years. They both resigned because of the booster program and how it was being pushed through without any science. So they resigned. And then what did they do? They moved in two yes men, two lackeys who will go along with the administration. So they got rid of the two people that stood up. And of course, that's not front page news in the New York Times, Washington Post, or MSNBC, CNN, or Fox. But that's the fact. So over the booster program, the two people who were for 35 years in charge of the FDA's vaccine department resigned over it. She's not going to tell you that. She wants people to keep taking a medical product that doesn't have any science behind it, according to the HHS secretary.
And that is, you promised that you would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them. You just changed the classification of the COVID vaccine.
I'm not taking them away from people, Senator.
It takes it away if you can't get it from your pharmacist.
Well, most Americans are going to be able to get it from their pharmacy for free. Most Americans will be able to get it from their pharmacy for free.
The question is everyone who wants it. That was your promise.
No, I didn't. I never promised that I was going to recommend products for which there is no indication.
When you said...
And I know you've taken $855,000 from pharmaceutical companies, Senator.
Did you hold up a big sign saying that you were lying when you said that? Because you are the one who said you would not take them away. Now, Senator...
I'm not taking them away from anybody.
Secretary...
You want me to indicate a product for which there is no clinical data?
Senator,
is that what you want?
Secretary Kennedy, you said you wouldn't, and now you did.
I'm not taking them away. Everybody can get access to them.
No, they can't walk into a pharmacy the way they could last month and get access.
It depends on the state. It depends on the states.
A year ago,
but they can still get it. Everybody can get it. Everybody can get it, Senator.
So look, let's move on. You clearly are taking away vaccines. I've seen the list for what's coming coming up next, and that is the agenda for the next CDC vaccine panel. And first up is ratifying your COVID actions. Second is hepatitis B is on the agenda. So should Americans expect you to take away hepatitis vaccine access?
So she wants a baby, a newborn baby. This is what she's arguing for. This is what Big Pharma wants. They want a baby to be jabbed, their first medical intervention as a baby, a newborn baby, to be given a hepatitis B vaccine. You know, the only way you catch hepatitis B is if you're intravenous drug user or having unprotected sex. Why would you give that to a baby?
Oh, I know why. Because her and all her friends don't want to accidentally be infected with hepatitis B when they eat babies.
Yeah. So people don't know that. I know people.
But they don't know anything.
People don't know anything. People, I tell that story. I was at a Hollywood Christmas party, and a 70-year-old doctor said to me he was worried that RFK was going to take away vaccines. I go, do you know they give 72 shots now to kids? And he's like, what? And I said, do you know the first one they give a baby is the hepatitis B vaccine? And his jaw hit the floor. He goes, why would they give that to a baby?
A doctor.
And
of what, jazz?
A doctor.
How did you not know this?
A doctor. I was talking to a doctor. And that's what a doctor was saying. And here she is advocating. So this is what it looks like when someone is on the take being paid. She took $850,000 from the pharmaceutical industry, and now she's lying to you. She doesn't care about you. She doesn't care about your kids. She doesn't care about health or safety.
Jimmy, I hate saying it, but she's not a credit to her tribe.
She is not a credit to her tribe.
As well, even though you promised not to?
As I said, I'm not taking vaccines away from anybody.
Okay, same answer, right? You're just going to deny that when people can't get access, that you're not taking it away. Then let me ask you, is that the same game you're going to play with me?
You want me to recommend every product in the world so that without any clinical trial data?
Through on your promises.
Yeah, my promise was to give.
A month ago, we could get COVID vaccines by just walking.
You can still get COVID vaccines, Senator.
You are taking that away.
No, you are still. You can still get the COVID vaccines, and Medicare will still pay for them, and Medicaid will still pay for them.
Tell the head of the CDC that if she refused to sign off on your changes to the childhood vaccine schedule, that she had to resign.
No, I told her that she had to resign because I asked her, are you a trustworthy person? And she said no. So if you had an employee who told you they weren't trustworthy, would you ask them to resign, Senator?
So I'm sorry, but this is not what she has said publicly. She has said
I'm not surprised about that.
So you're saying she's lying?
Yes. Every conversation I had with her, there
and
were
let me get this
witnesses.
straight. This is the same person that less than a month earlier, you stood next to her and described her as unimpeachable. And you had full confidence in her, and that you had full confidence in her scientific credentials. And in a month, she became a liar?
Yeah, you should ask her what changed. And by the way, a month ago, you were voting against her. Oh, because you thought she was either incompetent, ineligible, or unsuited to the task.
Isn't that amazing that the same senators who voted against this CDC director are now defending her at the top of their lungs? Isn't that interesting? So they voted against that woman to be the head of the CDC. RFK fires her because she's untrustworthy. And now they are yelling, why did you fire her? You mean the one you didn't want to be CDC director in the first place? Do you see how so transparently fake, phony, liars, charlatans, and sleazeballs these people are? Elizabeth Warren, just like Bernie Sanders, sleazeball of the highest order. And I say that because I used to support them. That there's just as many Republicans are just as big as sleazeballs. This is not partisan. This is bipartisan.
I went against her because I was afraid she was going to bend the knee to you and Donald Trump. And it looks like she didn't bend the knee, so you fired her. Look, you're putting America's babies' health at risk, America's seniors' health at risk, all Americans' health at risk, and you should resign.
Access to abortion for babies next?
Yeah, right?
You're putting slut babies at risk. Sexually active babies who need a hep C. What is this? I got to go do a show after this, and I got to get wound up watching these people. I'm going to be snarling at the audience.
These are people, literally the last people on the planet Earth advocating for the COVID boosters. Nobody is taking them. The uptake for a COVID booster has got to be under 10%. And you know why? Because 90% of the people decided to do their own research. And they decided to stop listening to big pharma mouthpieces like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and Anderson Cooper and the people at News Nation and the people at Fox. They decided to stop listening to them. They decided to start not trusting government ever, or Big Pharma, or the people who are bought by them. Most people have now officially come on the Jimmy Dore side and have started doing their own research. And as soon as you look into it, you find out that it's all a lie. Everything they told you about COVID was a lie. From where the virus originated, to who funded the virus, to masks, to herd immunity, to natural immunity, to ivermectin, to hydroxychloroquine, to lockdowns, to the vaccine stopping transmission, to vaccine stopping contraction, to the vaccine side effects. They lied about all of it. And so that's why now 9 out of 10 people are no longer listening to the government or MSNBC or any of the other media bought by Big Pharma. The only people screaming at the top of their lungs are bought-off politicians. That is amazing to watch that. So when he kept asking her, do you want me to recommend a medical product that doesn't have any science testing behind it? Is that what you want me to do? And she would never answer that question.
Because that's exactly what she wants.
Because that's exactly what she wants. She wants him to keep recommending the COVID booster, which according to the HHS has no science behind it. In fact, it didn't have any science behind it 4 years ago when the two top heads of the FDA vaccine department resigned over the booster program, people who had been there for 35 years. Of course, that's not front page news, and I can't believe RFK doesn't bring this stuff up. RFK should call me. I should be sitting there next to him telling him what to say because he'd be doing a better job. I think he's doing a good job. He could be doing a way better job. Why didn't he bring up the fact that the two heads of the FDA vaccine department resigned over this during the Biden administration? Why didn't
she just yap over it? That's why. She just yapped over every point.
Yeah.
They're not there asking real questions. You literally, the whole thing that he's there to do is not act like how I would act if she talked to me that way.
Right.
Which he's very good at. You saw him a crystal ball. So he's actually doing a great job. Those aren't real questions. If you answered a real question, you'd be shouted down by those two idiots.
Here's another. Well, if you'd like to hear, Steph does great jokes about Elizabeth Warren. She does a great Elizabeth Warren impression, and you can see it September 11th in Appleton, Wisconsin, September 12th, 13th in Rosemont, Illinois, Chicago, Illinois, Louisville, Fort Wayne, Hermosa Beach, Sacramento, and San Francisco. And then we're going to Soul Joel's. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets. See me on tour in Appleton, Wisconsin, Rosemont, Illinois, Chicago, Illinois, Louisville, Fort Wayne, Hermosa Beach, Sacramento, San Francisco, Irvine. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.